So in a way, I'm really happy that I have been through this experience because it had made me, okay, this is actually super ironic, but it had made me less jealous, a less jealous person,
Mm-hmm.
total. Because, you cannot be thinking about this all the time, like, oh my God, is he with this girl? Like, is he at this party? Like, you not be thinking about that. This is exhausting, right?
Life is a trip. No matter where you've been or where you're going, you might have more in common with someone on the other side of the world than you think. Let's go. Hello there, and welcome to the next episode of Life's a Trip. So this week I've got something super special for you guys. I am sharing some of my story, and my really good friend Dani is sharing some of her story, all about long-distance relationships. So if you know how that is, you definitely know a little bit about what we're going to get into. And if you don't, well, you're going to learn quite a few interesting things about what our relationships have been like, and also what it's been like for me transitioning back into actually living with my partner after having gone through long distance. So I think that's a little interesting topic that we go through. And yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody that the podcast is available on pretty much all podcast streaming apps. And especially if you guys have the Apple Podcast app, please go ahead and leave us a review on there. It helps a lot with just getting more exposure for the podcast and just ranking us a little bit higher so we can have more people listening. So thank you again for your listenership and for being here today to check out this episode. If you want to tag us, you can go ahead and use @Life'sATripPodcast on Instagram. And you can also do #Life'sATripPodcast if you want me to go ahead and check that out. You can also check out my Instagram with @GeoMonreal. And I put out blogs occasionally as well on my blog, which is geomonreal.com. So thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoy this episode, and yeah, see you soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Life's a Trip. It's me, your host, Giovanna, and I'm here to introduce you guys to a friend of mine, Daniela. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about yourself, Dani?
Yeah. Hi, guys. My name is Daniela. I am 25 years old, and I come from El Salvador, Central America, and I've been living here in Germany for the past 6 years. And last year, I was lucky enough to meet lovely Giovanna. So yeah, we've been really good friends since then. We've lived through a lot of crazy experiences, a lot of good parties.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much again
Yeah,
for your
thank
invitation.
you. Super cool. I'm one of the reasons why I'm bringing Dani on today is to talk a little bit about long distance, since we both kind of can identify with that topic, and also about being Latinas in Germany, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that common.
So what can you tell me, I guess, first of all, like what brought you to Germany, coming from El Salvador? Like you said, you've been here 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a super long time. You've had some time to adjust and everything, but like what ended up like making you decide to come here, and then how was your adjustment once you got over here?
Okay, yeah. So when I was in El Salvador, I went to a German school. It was it is a private school actually, but back then my mom, she really thought that this was gonna be worth it, like to go to a really expensive school in order for me to go to study abroad. Because sadly, in El Salvador right now, the social and economic situation is not the greatest. And my mom, she always thought like, no, I want like the best for my kids. So she's a doctor, and she made it work somehow, like that we went to the school. So yeah, I was like in the school, and I learned the language there, which is pretty good, right? Because I already have like a strong foundation from the language before I even came to Germany. And for me, it was always like, it was always like part of my plan to come to study to Germany, because I was thinking all the time, okay, if I've learned this language for so many years, like I have to do something with it, right?
Hmm.
So I graduated, and to be honest, like I never thought about any other countries. Like for me, it was always, okay, I'm gonna graduate from high school and I'm gonna go directly to Germany. And luckily for me, that's exactly what happened. I graduated and I got into this university where I studied multimedia and communication,
Hmm.
and that was it. So it sounds kind of easy, but I mean, I have to say, thankfully, like everything worked out. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how I came to Germany. That's just to study, right?
Hmm.
I think the first shock, like cultural shock, was when I arrived here, because I come from San Salvador. That's the capital of El Salvador. You can imagine like 4 million people. Latin American, loud as, oh my God, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I came to this town called Ansbach, where you have 50,000 people. I think
Hmm.
that's the population, and so quiet. Like I was like, okay, like where am I? And the
Yeah.
thing is, like at that time, I didn't want to study like in a big city. I just wanted to study like in a university where I thought that the degree was like interesting, right? So that's why I never applied for a university in Berlin or Frankfurt or Hamburg. I was like no, I want to study like like it was more about
Mhm.
the university, not about the town.
Right.
But I have to be honest, like when I arrived there and I saw the town, I was like, okay, maybe I did the right. I chose something wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first shock. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet. And then like after I mean, so how old were you when you arrived in Germany, actually?
I was 19.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty young, and actually at the time, so like tickets to Europe from Latin America are really expensive.
Hmm.
So my mom, like, she couldn't come with me. And man, she was so worried because it was my first time flying by myself.
Oh.
It was not my first time to that I visit Germany. I've come before, but it was always like in school trips.
Yeah.
But this time I was all by myself. So yeah, at the beginning I was like, okay, yeah, I'll make you work out, right? I
Hmm.
mean, I have to be honest, like I said before, it helps a lot when you already know the language. Like it was not that I didn't understand any word of German. Like I could communicate myself, so that was pretty good. But even so, like I felt really overwhelmed. And the problem was like it was just such a quiet city. Like I wouldn't even call it city. It's like a town. So you literally saw the cows back then.
Yeah,
True.
exactly. Well, and I mean, of course, it was an advantage for you knowing the language coming here. But one of the things I think a lot of people have told me, and I've even encountered myself, is a little bit of just feeling prejudice or discrimination against yourself because you don't look the way Germans think people are supposed to look, especially from the older crowds. And like, I'm curious if that was your experience at all because you obviously look Latina and like it can be difficult like being an outsider and coming in people knowing that like have you ever had any experience with that at all?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I never had like really bad experiences with the fact that I wasn't German,
Mhm.
but sometimes in the university, I felt like, okay, like I'm just too different
Yeah.
because, of course, like it was such a small city, right? So the university, I think like only 4% of the student population was international. And in my career, I was the only Latina. Like I was the only like
Wow.
person from Latin America.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, it was like really hard. And in a way, I can say that I changed my personality a lot. And this is what I think. I mean, like I'm saying, it was not like a kind of racism or stuff, but I knew that people looked at me different because like we're so loud. Like even when we walk loud.
Yeah.
And like when you laugh and you're something. So I started realizing that people like noticed that, and I felt uncomfortable because I was the only one doing it, right? So in a way, I changed my personality a lot. Like I became super quiet, like like even like the way I dressed, I changed it a lot because I felt like I was dragging too much attention. And it's not that I was wearing like, oh my God, like super small, like short skirts or whatever. It was just sometimes just because I wear a hat or
Yeah.
hoops. Even like, like we Latinas, we love hoops.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes, even when I was wearing hoops, like people would stare at me because that's not really German. Or like German girls don't use them a lot.
Yeah.
So, in a way, I feel like no one treated me like super differently, but I felt that I was so different that I had to change.
For
So
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's not to say like for people who are thinking of visiting Germany or moving here that it's, racist by any means. It's just more like a cultural difference, especially
Yeah.
coming from El Salvador and like myself coming from California. Like this was crazy coming here and just seeing how like people are just a bit quieter, and also the weather is like so cold. The difference with weather. I'm
Yeah.
sure you can imagine that as well with your experience. So
Yeah, totally.
so it's definitely different.
Have you felt the same actually, like with your clothes? Like, have you felt like because you wear some type of, dresses or even shoes that people have stared at you?
I think not so much actually, but I don't know because for me, my experience was a bit different. Like I came here and I didn't have so much of a like stable situation right away. So much like the first time I came to Germany, which was like in 2016, I went to live with my boyfriend in Hanover, and I did the same thing this time, like coming to Bavaria and moving here, where I didn't have something set up, which I had hoped to set up before I moved, and I didn't. So when I came here, I just actually stayed at home most of the time. I was kind of like social distancing as we are now. Like
Yeah.
I had social anxiety a little bit.
Okay.
So it was like I didn't really focus so much on that. I was more like trying to fit in, like trying to meet some people online. Actually, I even downloaded Bumble to try to meet girls online to make friends. Yeah, so that was kind of a hard process for me. I think what helped me the most, much like what you did, was going into the university and meeting people there, and then doing a course as well in German. And when I did that, there is a lot of diversity where we live, which is like near Nuremberg. Like there's so much more diversity, I would say, probably than Ansbach, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I didn't really think of my looks as much as just like trying to make friends. But I did, like, whenever I put summer clothes, I do sometimes get comments like, wow, you really know what to wear in summer, because I have like all these colorful, bright like clothes for summer that I wear in California normally, and that I bought in California as well. So yeah, it's different. I think coming here, there's a different style. So that's a really good point for people to
Totally.
take.
Yeah. And I mean, you could think like, okay, this is just stupid, right? Like everybody has a different style, but in a way, I think now that I think about it, it's just like how much influence that can have on your like on you socializing with everybody else. Because I was just trying so hard to fit in, and I didn't want people to feel. I mean, I have to be honest. Like I was super young. I was immature still. I was 19, like I said. So I was trying so hard, like to fit in and to have friends, right? Because, like I said, this is just such a small town that I changed a lot. Like I changed. I look so nerdy. I would always wear all H&M clothes, because everybody wears them, like super basic and stuff. But I was just like playing like safe.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds like so superficial, but in a way, it has such an impact, like on you. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's just like so crazy.
No, for sure. It's a part of your identity. And I
Yeah.
think that's sort of what I've experienced too, because I honestly didn't have the right clothes actually when I moved here.
No,
Now
me
that I
neither.
remember. Yeah, because I had like not winter clothes. I had like all summer, or what we have in California, which is like basically German spring is our winter. So, I mean, yeah, not really the right attire. So I think I found myself slowly adjusting to the whatever trends I saw around here. So yeah, but
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
yeah. But actually, you were super young, and thinking about that, like, how did you navigate the long distance with your family? Like, did they come and visit you, or how long was it until you saw them again? Like, how was it difficult, I guess, having that situation?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have to be honest, it's kind of funny because when I was still in El Salvador, like last like senior year, it was the worst between my mom and me. Like we
Oh,
would fight all the time, and I was in this moment when I was like, okay, I cannot wait to go to
yeah.
leave this house and to go to Germany. And of course, like the irony of life, right? I came here and I've never like missed my mom so much.
Yeah.
And we would literally Skype every day. Like we had a time. I think it was like 8 p.m. here and 12 p.m. for
Yeah.
my mom. Like she was having lunch and stuff,
Hmm.
and we will talk over Skype. So I think this is something that I like a lot, that the distance made us actually more close.
Yeah.
Because like I tell you, like the last 6 months before I came to Germany, I was fighting with my mom all the time, like shouting, crying. I don't know why. Maybe it was the stress. I don't know. But
Hmm.
when I came here, like I've never missed her so much, and I started to tell her everything. Like I never had like a super close relationship with my mom. She was kind of strict. But the minute I came to Germany, like that changed completely.
Oh,
So yeah, so we became really close, actually, like
yeah.
never before. And I'm actually really happy, that that happened, because I started considering my mom even like my best friend, which I never did. Like for me, she was always my mom, right?
Oh,
But in a way, thanks to the distance, we became like best friends. So that was just the part of my mom, right?
hmm.
And for me, it was so hard to leave my grandparents. And I think for everybody that leaves their country and has like their grandparents still like alive, it's like one of the most difficult parts, because like, okay, they can die in any minute. You're not sure if you're gonna be able to see them for the last time, or to even go to the funeral, wherever. So, you know, for me, that was like, I think that was the most difficult part, like not know when I was going to see my grandparents again. If they get sick, like I'm a student, I don't have the money to buy a ticket right away and go to see them, right?
Yeah.
So that made me a lot of super anxious the
Hmm.
first year. And thankfully I have such a mess. Like my grandparents are so amazing and so cute, actually, because they can use WhatsApp and Skype better than me. So we would Skype every Sunday. And I can tell you now, thankfully, like they're still alive. And till this day, I know for sure that this Sunday we will Skype again.
Mm.
So, yeah, the first semester that I was here, I was really crazy. Like, like I was missing my mom so much, and then my grandparents. Like, I was worried about them. Like, this anxiety was growing. But I came back to El Salvador, the 6 months later for
Mhm.
like spring break. So yeah, that was the first year, and after that, like I started getting used to it. Um, and I don't fly that often to El Salvador. I think if this and the 6 years that I've been here, I've been to El Salvador only 3 times.
Oh, wow. That's
So yeah, that's
crazy.
actually nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually nothing. But I have to say that I'm so thankful that the technology, it's in a way at this point that it makes like kilometers look like centimeters, right?
Right.
So I'm always like, I'm still so close to my family. Like we're always like Skyping, like sending texts on WhatsApp. Right now, like even my grandma, she sends me stickers and gifts, and she's just the cutest thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that I have to say that in a way, the distance make me even closer to my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's super cool how that happens. Like I feel the same way with my family. And, I've dealt with that a lot as well. With the whole grandparents thing, I can identify with that as well because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm dying to see my grandparents in Chile. I
Mm-hmm.
barely get to go to Chile because it's so far away, and my dad is from Chile, so that's where that side comes from. My mom's from Mexico, so it's a little closer whenever I'm in California to see
Sure.
my mom's side. But yeah, whenever I can, I do want to go to Chile, like hopefully this Christmas. But it's just hard, yeah, to like not, especially for those who can't really use the technology. Like my great grandma, she is way too old to be using that. So like I only get to pass along messages to her through other people, so that can be really tough. But we're blessed to have them still alive, and
Yeah.
that's any time that we can get with them is precious. So it's what's cool
Exactly,
about
yeah.
the distance, like you said. Yeah, it makes you appreciate everybody a lot. So
Yeah, in a way that's kind of sad, right? Because
I know.
yeah, you have to be away in order to realize that.
Hmm.
And I would say that's something that I would advise to anybody that plans to go somewhere else and start a life there, that you shouldn't take for granted still everything that you have in your place, in your home country, because the minute like, you don't have it, it's just like, oh my God, you
Yeah.
think you hate it, but you actually love it.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly. But I am curious though, would you ever move back to El Salvador, or are you completely happy like in Germany, or move to any other country actually? Have you ever thought about that?
well, that's a tricky question, my friend. But I can tell you now that although I miss my family so much and I love the weather of my country and the country itself, it's really beautiful. I cannot imagine myself going back to El Salvador.
Mhm.
Because sadly, like the reality of Latin America is just so different to the European one, right?
Right.
I mean, just like security, just the fact that I cannot take public transportation to go somewhere, it's just like, it's just so crazy, right? And here, I think, I mean, what I want to say is like, I love my country, but it doesn't give me the freedom that I want.
Right.
And Germany, I have that freedom. Like I can literally do whatever I want here. Okay, not everything, but I mean, it's the fact that okay, I can go to the supermarket by myself at 7 p.m. and I know that nothing's gonna happen to me, or the possibility that something happens is just like so small.
Yeah.
But I can you can totally forget that's gonna happen in El Salvador. Like no, like the possibility that something can happen to me any time of the day is just so high.
Yeah.
So yeah, sadly, like I don't think or I don't see myself right now going back there. Maybe when I'm like, really old, like older, I don't know, 50s or something, when I'm like, okay, I retire, whatever. I have enough money. I don't know. I would go back for
Yeah.
sure, but yeah, I don't think so. Right, actually.
Hmm.
And about the other question, I think I would like to go to another country, I
Hmm.
think, as a country that also gives me this kind of freedom.
Yeah.
And maybe a country that is not that cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it can
But
be
yeah,
hard staying here for sure with the
yeah.
winters.
Yeah. I'm pretty flexible there. Like I don't have to stay in Germany forever.
Hmm.
But yeah, I haven't thought about that actually. I think right now I'm fine here. Like, finally I have a job and I have already like friends and
Yeah.
everything. So I think for now it's okay.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
we know sort of where your motivations would be coming from as well with moving to another country because you are in a long distance relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you tell us a bit more about that and how you guys met?
Yeah. So I met my boyfriend in this town that I told you about before, Ansbach. He was doing an internship there at Bosch, which is like a huge company here.
Hmm.
And yeah, we met through a friend, and it was kind of crazy because he was only staying for 4 months here in Germany, and then he was going to
What?
go back to Canada. Yeah, so I met him, and I'm telling you, Gio, like it was like click, like in a second. Like we understood each other so well. He's the nicest guy I've ever met, and yeah, I was wow, I was I don't know, I was speechless when I met him. So we started going like on some dates. It was everything super casual because we both knew that he was only staying for 4 months and then he was going to go back, right?
Right.
So we let it flow, but I still remember like the last day he stayed here in Germany. He was like, well, Danny, I'm going back to Canada and I've have I've had a lot of fun. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, this. And then he was like, but I want to keep trying. We should give it a shot to the long distance. And I was
Aw.
like, okay, sure. So yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it all began. And then he came back to Canada, and he stayed there for 4 months. And then the next 4 months, he came back to Germany, and that's how we worked it out. Like the last 2 years, he's been moving a lot. So I'm actually just waiting for him to tell me, okay, I settled here. You
Yeah.
can come. So yeah, I don't know where that's gonna be exactly. Right now, he's working in Houston, Texas,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't. He wants to do a master's, so he's probably gonna go back to Canada. So we've been actually talking about that. Maybe I can go to Canada because I actually visited the country last December and I loved it. Have you ever
Mhm.
been to Canada?
No, not yet. I really want to go, but I saw your pictures. It looked really nice.
I have to be honest, like loved it a lot, and the people are so nice. Like how everybody like makes fun of Canadians because they
Oh
always say
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's actually not a lie. That is literally they are
Yeah.
exactly like that. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing like like confirmed yet. I cannot tell you, oh, gee, I'm moving to Canada, but I would like to go there. So if I'll probably move from Germany, it will be to go to Canada for sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been my relationship. Like it's been almost 2 years, well, already 2 years since we started being like in a long distance. And you know this for sure, like it's not easy. You have to really trust the other person. But yeah, somehow we have made it work.
Yeah. And how does your family feel about that? Have you gotten support from like family and friends, or have you had any difficulties with like people doubting you guys or, things like that?
Well, my family, they've always supported me a lot.
Hmm.
Like, they don't ask too many questions, which is good. I know that's not normal in a family. Uh, but they are like, so my mom, she loves him. And she's like, yeah, take your time. Like, you don't have to move right now, like,
Hmm.
anywhere. Like, if you guys, like, should think this through, whatever. But yeah, do as you wish. But I
Yeah.
have to be honest, like when I talk to my friends, they always ask me, like, so yeah, when's your boyfriend coming to Germany?
Hmm.
And that question is sometimes super annoying. I don't know if you've actually lived that they always asking you about the future, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know. Like I'm the person in the relationship, and I don't even know. So I mean, my friends support me as well, but once in a while, I get this question, like, so yeah, what's gonna happen actually with you two? And
Yeah.
that annoys me sometimes. Yeah, I don't know how was your experience actually when you were in the States and your boyfriend was here in Germany, if you had the same
Yeah.
type of.
I mean, yeah, I've been through that too. Like, in case you guys don't know on the podcast, that, I had long distance with my boyfriend before moving here for like 2 years. We were going back and forth. And I think the longest we went without seeing each other was like maybe 6 months, but we tried to like keep it to like 4 months max because it was just really hard. But yeah, I had a lot of people doubting me, family included, like family and friends sometimes just saying like, well, how can you trust somebody that much? And why would you? It's almost like seen as childish in a lot of people's eyes to be in this kind of
Oh, no
relationship.
way. Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. I think a lot of people think it's like, especially if you met online, which we didn't, but I've heard that from a lot of people in the long distance relationship community. Like some people think that it's kind of like childish to be in that because it's not realistic, I guess. And it's almost like, well, you're just met online, or you're just trying to keep things going until you find someone real, who's like really there, I guess. And the
True.
future question comes up a lot too. So I can definitely see that that's a difficult point for a lot of people in that situation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually really interesting because I've had the opposite kind of comments. Like when I
really?
tell people, that I'm in a long distance, they're like, "Oh my God, like I have so much respect for you. Like you have to have like a type of maturity to be in this kind of relationship."
Yeah, that too.
And that's actually what I actually think that like I don't think it's childish. I think it's just like, okay, you're literally want to be with this person so bad that you don't care that it's like in another continent.
Yeah.
Like you're going to wait for them and you're going to be like faithful and everything. So yeah, I don't know. It depends, right?
Yeah, it depends on the person. Like, I mean, whoever's supporting you is obviously seeing that there's a lot more depth to it. Like, a lot of people have to be really mature to do this type of thing. And I think it's just hard when you're surrounded by toxic people as well, or you've been in toxic relationships. That's why a lot of people think it's like unrealistic, and that, you get jealous as well. Like if you've been in toxic relationships and you faced jealous people, like you tend to also have that weighing over you, or other people saying, well, aren't you worried he's doing that? Or are you going to let them do that? Like regardless of gender, whoever your partner is, like,
totally.
People get like a little bit possessive. And I think that's like what you said earlier. There's a huge beauty in being able to let someone have their freedom and trusting that they're going to be loyal to you and faithful to you if that's, your type of relationship. Like that's really great that you can do that with somebody. That's what people have to respect, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right. And that's what I cherish the most about being about being in a long distance relationship because I've learned that, like I cannot control this person. I cannot be there 24/7. I just have to trust them and that's it. And of course, like in worst case, okay, he was with this other girl, whatever. But like what are you gonna do, right? Like you gave your best and that's it. So in a way, I'm really happy that I have been through this experience because it had made me, okay, this is actually super ironic, but it had made me less jealous, like a less jealous person. Totally. Because, you cannot be thinking about this all the time. Like, oh my God, is he with this girl? Like, is he at this party? Like, you not be thinking about that. This is exhausting, right?
Yeah.
So you just let it be. You're like, okay, if he's with someone else, like that's his problem. You're not doing actually nothing wrong. So yeah, I think, I mean, of course it has its good things and bad things, but I would say definitely it's made me a more secure person, and like I've learned to trust my partner so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, same here. I mean, we also had that where I realized like I'm not as jealous anymore because if it's somebody who will invest so much time in texting me all day, checking in with me, like sending me updates on what he's doing, and just because he wants to, not like I'm forcing him to, and it's
Exactly.
just that's a next level type of relationship. Like, okay, why would you worry that he's on a date with some other chick when he's literally texting you all the time or sleeping because of the time difference, So that's something people can keep in mind if they're considering doing long distance. And if you have any other tips as well, Danny, I'd love to hear them for anyone out there in this type of situation.
Let me think, because, well, like I said, just trust the other person. Like if something goes wrong, you know for sure it's not your fault. And to respect um like private time.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna sound weird, but I don't know if you also like experience it. But sometimes, like, I'm in the bathroom and my boyfriend calls me,
Okay.
but because we haven't talked, right? Because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time difference is like, okay, I'm just telling him like, okay, love, I'm just gonna put my microphone on silent, okay? But you
Yeah,
can keep talking
exactly.
and telling me about her.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe
That's a good
you should
one.
really think about that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and like
yeah,
time with family, time with friends, like also that's
yes,
important, and regardless of distance or
yeah,
not. Yeah, you have to give them their space with their friends and trust that, they should be able to go out and go to the club with their
yes,
friends and, or the bar. And
totally.
you trust that they're not going to be hitting on people because, it's nice that they can have their freedom and that's it. Like, I don't know. You have to just have that sort of communication. I think that was the biggest tip. And I know it's super overused this word, but that's like with distance, that's like the best thing you can do is just communicate everything. If you're feeling doubts, also communicate that. Like
Yes,
it's worse to keep it bottled in until you see each other because when you see each other, like you don't want to talk about problems. You want to get that stuff off your chest right away. At least in
true.
my case,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. I don't like saving stuff. I don't know. And like, what do you do when you see each other? Like, do you guys plan like what you're gonna do or plan trips or anything? Like, how has that been?
Well, that's also a really interesting question because even when we see each other, it's not like we just, like hang out like in the living room and watch movies. It's like we also make like plans because
Mm-hmm.
we're trying like to experience so much together as possible.
Yeah.
So these times, I mean, of course, like once in a while, you just Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
but but actually, like every time we've seen each other, like we also try, to go here and there. We both love to go to museums and
Mhm.
restaurants together. So we're always like being active,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of cool. Like you see, okay, I don't see this person that often, so when I'm with them, I just want to try to experience as much as I can.
Yeah.
Like take pictures, like go out, make silly videos, go to places you both never been before, because that makes everything so precious, right? Like I think it makes it like fun, like so
Yeah.
you don't feel like you're missing something because you don't see them all the time. So make the most of it, like this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, of course, like once in a while, like chill, like on the sofa, whatever, eat chips and pizza.
Mhm.
Uh, but I would definitely like tell everybody they're in a long distance relationship to try to experience as much as possible with your partner when you're
Yeah.
finally together. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, traveling together is really good. Like even just to somewhere nearby, like being a tourist in your own town is really
Yeah.
fun if they're visiting you. And then also like that was another thing. That's
Hmm.
another thing I would suggest to people is like plan what you're going to do when you see each other, like when you're not with
Yes.
each other. So that way you have it like in mind and you have some motivation and it's an activity as well, planning like what you will do. So that's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like you have something to look forward, like so cool. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like I said, in December I went to visit my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his family, actually. I met them for the first time in Canada. So
Wow.
they live, yeah. So they live in Toronto, and we had like planned, like, okay, well, we're gonna do this day and other day.
Yeah.
So actually, for a Sunday night, like a date night, he took me to NBA game, to the Toronto Raptors game.
Oh, wow.
Yo, Giovanna, I have to tell you, that was so amazing. Like, I was just so happy that I got to experience this with him. It was
Yeah.
my first time ever in a game, and yeah, it was like this whole experience was just so nice.
Hmm.
So, and I was so like I was totally looking for it and to experience that with him. So it makes it like even more special.
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, experience as much as possible. Like when you're together, like okay, I know hormones and stuff. You just want to be in the bedroom, but
Hmm.
I think I would rather say like no, go outside and yeah, just try new things and discover new places. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and you get to know new sides of them as well, which is really cool. I think that's one of the best things that I've found with moving in together finally and closing
Oh
the
yeah.
distance. And I know that's super annoying with like the future question and everything, but it's just kind of nice to think about that and try to anticipate like what it will be like living with that person. So that's something to
Mhm.
look at, like when you visit them in their house. How do they live? Like, what are some things they should know about how you live, just planning that out, because even if you're not in long distance, like my mom actually just approached me the other day because she sold her
Yeah.
house and she's moving in with her boyfriend, and
Oh,
she
okay.
she asked my boyfriend and I for some tips about like before you move in with someone, like what should you do, like how can you prepare. And yeah, I would say definitely breaking it down, like finances, like all that
Mm,
difficult stuff, but doing it in a good setting, like going out for dinner and maybe doing it like outside somewhere fun where you can just leave it on the table and then move on to the next thing. And that's something that helped us a lot. Just always talking about how we're going to, how like what we do on the weekend, for example, like what is your daily
mhm.
routine, just knowing those things, which I'm sure you and your boyfriend have been over, and just
Yeah,
something that people can keep in mind, I guess. But
true.
yeah, it's
So
it's crazy.
actually have a question for you.
Yeah,
I
sure.
hope it doesn't, it's just like weird, but how was
No.
for you the transition from being in a long distance relationship to finally be living together? Because you're
Yeah,
lucky enough to have experienced that. I'm not there yet. But how
I
was it?
know.
Because I think you're just so used to this person being away,
Yeah,
and
that's
now
what I was gonna
he's
tell
there
you.
all the time. So,
Yeah, no, and especially
so how
right
was
now, we're literally stuck together. Like it's
it? Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, no,
So
I
how was
wanted
it?
to bring that up. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I think it's something you and anyone else who's still in long distance can think about, because it was really hard the first time. So I guess we kind of did it twice. Like the first time when I moved to Hanover with him in 2016, it was for 6 months. So it wasn't too long. It was like kind of just a little bit of time, enough for us to get to know each other and for me to get to know his country. But that was really hard. Like right away, we realized we're very similar. We're both like neat freaks. We like to have, I mean, not super neat, but pretty neat. We both don't like having a messy house. So, these little things are important to
Yeah.
know from the get-go. And then we also like fitness, like just all these like small things. And then I think we had stupid arguments sometimes about like whether or not we wanted like a piece of furniture in the room, like just little
Oh, really?
things. And yeah, it's just that was the first time living with him. It was really interesting because we're both very like we're opinionated, and I think with any relationship you have somebody who's like a little bit more pushy than the other one, maybe, or if both people are like, good luck. I don't know, God help those people. But I think there's always someone who's willing to like, there's like a give and take, there's someone who's willing to give a bit more and there's someone who wants a little bit more out of it. So it's important to play that role in both ways, I would say. That was how
Yeah.
what helped the transition, because I am like I can be super strong-willed and like I guess thick-headed in terms of what I want. Like I sometimes want to have my way, and I think having like come from, I guess a place where I was very comfortable. That's another thing to
Yeah.
consider. Like I was coming from my mom's house, which I had like, a community pool. It was a gated community, like all this very nice situation in California. Everything's open late. Like I've talked about, the differences between Germany and California, and just keeping that in mind. Like where is your partner coming from? Even if it's the same country, like if it's within the US, okay, but either way, they have their routine, they have their go-to store, they have their things that they like. And so making
True.
space
Yeah.
for that person and like going out with them to like show them what's in your town and try to find out what they like about your town, and just things like that, I guess really helped us get over that like weirdness at the beginning of always seeing each other, and
Yeah.
also like having your space. I mean, you of all people would definitely need that tip, I think, because you love to have your freedom, like you said. And so definitely like
Totally.
taking that time and letting your partner do that, because I'm again one of the people that likes to have, I like to be at home a bit more, and I also really like just spending time with my boyfriend. And like the fact that I had not had him, with me for so long, it was super tough to like finally live together and then let him go out when I don't know anyone in his country, like I don't
Oh
have
my God,
friends
yes.
yet. That was really hard, so
Yeah,
that's something
I
to
can
keep in
only
mind.
imagine.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. So you're going out, like, so maybe include your partner in that, like, maybe sometimes, sometimes do your own thing, of course. Like, make sure you communicate, hey, I want to go out, have a guys' night or a girls' night tonight. So can you find something? Can you make some plans? And that's what we do actually, even now. Like, he tells me in advance, like, not super in advance, but like at least a day before, hey, I'm gonna have plans playing video games tomorrow. Like, can you please do something? So yeah, we try to make it work in that way, and everyone's different, but for sure, like acknowledging what they need and making space for them. Yeah, because
Okay,
it's
yeah.
usually I think either both of you move into a space together, a new space, or I think normally it is one of you moving into their space, like their country or their house, because that's kind of how it is, like their city, their
Yeah.
town, unless you're
Yeah.
both deciding to move to a new town together. But I think realistically, like a lot of people are in that situation where they're financially like it's best for them to just move into one or the other person's place. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, that's
That's
the best
tricky.
advice I can give for now. I don't know. We're making it work as we go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have to say I'm really happy for you two guys. I think you're totally like a role model in a long distance relationship. Like, wow, seriously.
Right.
So yeah, I hope that one day or maybe the next podcast I'll tell you about my experience living finally together with my
I
long
know,
distance
I
relationship
hope
boyfriend.
so. But I'm so, I'm really proud of you guys, and that's also why, I brought you on here because I think it's great for people to hear. Like, how long have you guys been together actually?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. So, I mean, like it's the same. Like it's amazing when people can hear like somebody has done that for 2 years. Like you literally were only like meeting in person for the first time for like 4 months. And it was the same for us. We had only 9 months together, like a little bit longer, but it was still like whoa, what are we doing? After I think about 4 months, that was when we were ready. We decided, hey, I love you, like I want to be with you, and I think let's do it. Let's plan our future. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's the other thing. People put a lot into that word long distance relationship, thinking it's like, man, if you invest in that, you can't have anything else. And that's not true. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to think of it as like the end all be all type of relationship because there's so much you can learn from it as well. So
Yes.
if it doesn't work out, like
Yeah.
you learn, like what you said, not to be jealous. Like you learn to be self-sufficient, to be independent. Like there's so many great things about it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I've heard a lot of times that people are just so afraid of long distance relationships just because of the commitment.
Yeah.
And because it's like a huge commitment, right?
Yeah.
But and a lot of people would tell me like, oh, but if it ends, like you are you not gonna feel like you just wasted your time?
Yeah. Wasted.
And
That's what everyone says.
yeah, where is that? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Because I was never with the other person, right? I couldn't see him, but still we
Mhm.
were in a relationship. And to be honest, when I began with this relationship, that was a thought that it crossed my mind a lot of times. Like, okay, Danny, what is it if I'm just wasting my time and instead of being in this relationship, I'm not meeting people here, like where I am.
Mhm.
You mean like boys and stuff. But to be honest, I have to say, like, everything in this life can fail. Like, you're not going to be successful all the time, sadly.
Yeah.
But the important thing is, like you already said, you just learn from it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, even in a short distance relationship can also go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to try it. Like you have to try it. Be brave enough. If you really like the person, try it. Don't think about, oh, when he goes to the other country or she and it's gonna go like they're gonna cheat on me, whatever. No, like you don't go in a relationship thinking the worst is gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be
And
be realistic and yeah,
mhm.
sorry.
No, it's okay. And I was just gonna
Okay.
say, like, you get to know each other. So that's the other
Exactly.
thing. Like, you know each other before that, hopefully, and when you make that decision, make sure you also are like, okay, I know them enough to do this together. Like, make sure they fully want to do it as well, because it is such a
Sure.
big
Yeah.
commitment. Yeah.
That's also important. But I mean, at the end, I would say this life is just a sum of experiences. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
are good, or some of them are bad. But we're not gonna do we're not gonna do things just because we're scared we're gonna fail, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know if you had this thought sometimes, but when you move here, probably you thought, okay, what's gonna happen if I break up with him? Like, okay, I just came to another country
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm gonna do. And I think that's also like a super scary thought. But
Yeah.
it's gonna work out some way or another. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I would say that, like, be brave enough, just experience it, and I really hope it goes well. And if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really great that you have that mindset, and I think that's why you guys are doing so well, and like you're thriving here in Germany, and I'm really happy that I got to meet you because
me too.
Yeah, because it was just so much more. I think it's just so cool that we had that in common, so it's really nice, I think, also for listeners to hear your story, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it too. And it was just so crazy that we also met here, and we both came from such different countries, but we're actually like in such a similar situation.
Yeah,
so that was really funny. Yeah, but no, I'm really happy. That I met you. It's been like a great experience. And
well, cool. Let me go ahead and close things off now with the closing question. Where would you spend all your time if you could?
At the beach.
Yeah, I figured.
Latina check.
Yeah. What beach, though?
Oh my God, what beach?
Do you have any specific countries or places in mind that are like your favorite beach destinations?
I would say I would like to spend my time at the Costa del Sol in El Salvador. It's one of the most beautiful beaches there. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I'll send you pics. It's really nice.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
cool.
So what about you? Where would you like to stay or spend your time?
I think the same. I would pick probably Laguna Beach in California.
Oh,
for sure, the beach. I love the beach. So yeah.
Okay, I think, oh my God, I just think about it, and I already know that every Latin person you ask this question, they're gonna tell you the same.
I think so. Just something different about water, and like, I don't know, it's so relaxing, and it's nice to just have that nearby. Like, that's what I miss the most. I know that there's kind of beachy areas in Germany, but not really, not the warm type.
Not at all,
yeah.
No.
So
yeah, sometimes I think about like, oh my God, like why why wasn't at the beach when this whole lockdown started?
I know.
I would be so happy. Like, I wouldn't complain at all if I was just at a beach house, but
Let's hope there isn't a next time. Yeah, but next time, if there is, like, let's buy a beach house and hang out over there. Yeah, we'll take our boyfriends and hang out by the beach. Follow me on Instagram by searching for @GeoMonreal, and check out my blog on geomonreal.com. Want to be on the next episode? Send an email to lifeisatrippodcast@gmail.com. Music from purpleplanet.com.